On today's episode of Tech Lab, we are going to be running Android on a computer. Let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome to Tech Lab, the show where we talk about anything and everything tech-centric, or demonstrate, or overview, or whatever we can think of. Yeah, we're still working on that. So anyways, before we get started, I just want to thank the 11 people who participated in the poll from last video to decide this one and the next upcoming ones for the near future. So basically, what are we doing today? Well, simply put, we are going to be running Android on this, a computer. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump over to our Lapis rig to show you what you will be using to make this possible. Now, before you do that, make sure you have a USB drive handy to do this. This way, you'll be able to effectively perform all your necessary tasks, and I would recommend between a 4 to 16 gig USB drive for the file, so that way that's all situated and out of the way. So without any further ado, let's go over to the computer and get this done. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so for this next step, what you're going to want to do is go to the link, this link here in the description, and you can do download from Fossil Hub or download from OSDN. Honestly, there's not much of a difference, just one's a little more in-depth than the other. What I would recommend if you're going through OSDN is to go for either the 64 or 32-bit ISO files. If you're going off of Linux, then the RPM files. And for OSDN, you can do the x86 R2 ISO or the x86_64 ISO. Those are the 32-bit and 64-bit images respectively. And basically, once you have those downloaded, you can quite literally, at least at this point, I'm not sure why you can do this now, but all you have to do is just drag and drop your files into the USB drive, and you're pretty much good to go. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump over to the computer. So, to get the ball rolling here, what we're going to do is we're going to install our USB drive into an available USB port, power it on, and go into BIOS, which for me is probably F12. Or we could just boot right into Android, I guess that's fine too. If you have your BIOS preset to boot from USB, it's a lot easier. So we're just going to go ahead and hit live on here. And from there, we should be about ready to go. Everything seems to be going all right so far. And I believe we are in. Everything should look nice and clean across the board. Okay, so we are now at setup. Let's go ahead and... Oh right, I don't have a mouse plugged in. Let's fix that, shall we? There we go. Let's go ahead and hit start. I'm going to grab my Ethernet cable here to save some time. Don't try that at home. We're going to go ahead and skip. We'll have to set it up elsewhere. Let's go. Everything should be just about set up here. So now on here you have a couple of options. I have no idea if you can see that, and I apologize if you can't. Okay, you should be able to see it now. But basically, you have a few options here. The first one is Launcher 3, which is the standard Android environment, and Taskbar, which is a more Windows-esque environment. So for this, we're going to go with Launcher 3, and we're going to go ahead and get onto Wi-Fi here. Let's see, Wi-Fi. We should get an option for virtual Wi-Fi, which is just being connected to the Ethernet, but it looks like we waited a little too long on that. So we're going to have to do this the long way. So hold on a moment. Okay. We'll be back momentarily. Okay, I think that did it. Hopefully. If not, then, well, oops-a-daisy. So, anyways. So, we in or what? Certainly doesn't like it. So, anyways. Okay, so this is basically the UI you're dealing with. Yeah, let's not do that. Erasing this thing with this setup on it is definitely going to cause trouble in the long run. Just don't do anything stupid. So basically what you got here is a relatively nice looking environment. It works for the most part. I haven't ran into any issues so far with this particular instance here. Alright, oh yeah, we're also on Vimeo too. I'll leave that link in the description below if you really want to look at it. So, anyways, let's go ahead and test the audio here. Wow, I forgot how loud this computer can get. So anyways, you can basically use it like any other Android device, but how about actually playing games on it? Well, that's a little more tricky, I'm afraid to say. Basically, what the deal is here is that certain games are extremely picky of when they actually want to work or not. So, to make things faster, we're just going to download Aptoid. That's an interesting little program. Allow and downloading. Should be done momentarily. Okay, it's done. Let's go ahead and install it. Okay, want to install? Yes. Aptoid is a third-party app store, in case you were wondering. Let's go ahead and get out of that. And it also has games that are not on the App Store anymore, such as one that we'll be showing off in a moment. And, alright, this is a problem. Come on, shut up, get out of the way. So, anyways, let's just say ads are a pretty obnoxious and common occurrence. Really not much you can do about that. So we're going to go ahead and let this download really quick, and then we'll go ahead and try it out. As far as I'm aware, this one should work in this particular mode. If it doesn't, well, crap. But if it does, great. Then we'll go ahead and try the other one, see if we get any farther. So we'll be back momentarily. Okay, here goes nothing. Nope. Well, that's a disappointment. Alright, fine, we'll try something else. Let's see. Ugh. Get this garbage out of my sight. The last time I tried this build, this worked pretty well. Well, not this crap. Shut up. Yeah, unfortunately ads are a commonplace on this thing. There's no way to get around them. No way to get around them on the regular App Store either. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and try this instead. Or not. Fine, I guess we have no choice. We'll be back momentarily. Okay. Let's go ahead and just kind of let everything come together now. And, huzzah, no ads. So basically, games like this... Wait, escape is the jump button? Well, that makes no sense. Basically, games like this work relatively well for the most part. But, yeah, this is just weird. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to this idea. Okay, we're in full speed now. But basically, the game is overall playable. However, it is just a tad disappointing that portrait games really don't work well on here. So we're going to go ahead and... So we're just going to go ahead and get out of this. And we'll just go from there. So... Okay, cool. The Windows key is the way back in this situation. So basically... Yeah, that's a bit of a disappointment on their end. Of course, regular apps like YouTube and stuff like that will work just fine. And frankly, I don't mind that at all. It's usable, but you're definitely not going to be doing much on it in terms of actual games. which is kind of disappointing because that's kind of why I got this. So anyways, really quick, let's just go ahead and switch over to taskbar to see what that looks like. And we're basically in a funny looking Windows environment. Nope, dang it. It doesn't work. Oh well, so with that, let's go ahead and go back, shall we? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's the entire process. I know, some of you are probably thinking, wait, that should have been a lot harder. Well, surprise! It seems with time, and if you give it enough time, things tend to get easier. So with that, that's pretty much it for this video. And frankly, I would say that they did a good job, but it is kind of a bummer that you can't play certain games on the system. But regardless, hey, it's Android on computer, what are you gonna do? If you don't really care for that kind of, if you really don't care for the current situation with the platform, then maybe we should stick to BlueStacks for the time being and wait for them to hammer out the bugs a little more. So with that, that pretty much brings an end to this video. So with that, what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments below. Like if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, and check us out over on Patreon and Facebook to stay up to date with our content. And also, make sure you tune in next week, because we are going to be covering the NES Classic Edition. So with that, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.